Thank you. Thank you for coming to this town meeting. As you know, my name is David Crossley, and I am the chair of Kipsbury's Board of Selectmen. So, before we get to our main topic, the Town Square renaming contest, I want to touch on a few items on behalf of the board. First, I would like to remind everyone that faculty parking spots at Winthrop Middle are for faculty. They are not for parent use during pickup and drop-off. They are faculty parking spots for faculty. Second, our Labor Day celebration is coming up, and that means we are in need of potluck participants and volunteers to man the sprinklers. We do not want what happened last year repeated. That grass has not recovered. We're also looking for live music, so if you know of any bands or solo artists that might be interested, please see me after the meeting. I think that is all for now. All right, moving on to today's main meeting agenda, the Town Square renaming contest. Thank you to all who participated. We had a really impressive turnout. And thank you to Brandy Zagutori and Isaac Wiener for organizing the contest. So, we've done it a bit like an award ceremony to make it more exciting. So I got this little envelope here. All right, so without further ado, I object! What? I object! I'm not holding my peace. I am against it. No. I'm sorry, who are you? I'm Jack Zagutori, and I object to having my father's legacy disrespected like this, so I am opposing the contest. Well, it's a bit late for that, and if you are not a resident of Kipsbury, I could become a resident. They love me over at the Holiday Inn. One receptionist is actually quite smitten. I think I could win her over. And I could stick around and be the musical guest for that Labor Day parade. I'm in a band, but I play solo as well. Been working on a new record about soul searching, but not in the generic way. Lots of body horror. I'm sorry, I don't... Look, mate, I know you're just trying to do your job, but think of my family. I mean, my relatives are devastated, and this is all being orchestrated by someone who married my father for money. And she sure as hell gotten what she wanted, so she doesn't need this. Now I am the one that objects. Who are you to criticize me about money when you had a little tantrum after your father's will reading because you didn't think the inheritance was generous enough? And that after you hadn't talked to him for a year and a half. It is ridiculous. I think that people are feeling very strongly, and maybe if we could... Dad and I were going through a rough patch, and we worked it out. Sure, if worked it out means you sending him a song you wrote called Paternal Prick, I'm gonna castrate you. That was a joke. Really? Please, if you two could maybe talk about this after the meeting, I want to get back to our meeting agenda. Right, mate, the whole problem is the meeting agenda. Okay, you're glued to your notes, you're not thinking about actual people. My father fucking carried this town on his back. This whole renaming business is rubbish. It is disrespectful. I actually agree with him there. I'm sorry, Mr. Crossley, but everyone else is talking out of turn, and I feel like I have to take this opportunity to speak my mind. So, hi, everyone. I'm Natalie. So, I agree that the renaming contest is disrespectful, but not to Mr. Zagutori, to the people who had their land stolen from them before this town was even founded. This contest has obviously become about interpersonal conflict, and we've lost sight of what renaming a piece of land actually means. I agree. Thanks. Kipsbury was founded on land stolen from the Nipmuc and Pecumtuck Native communities. It also thrived because of a trade that is merciless and violent. No disrespect, Mr. Crossley, but I know you have been ignoring my emails, and we really should get rid of those little leather keychain souvenirs at the general store. But that's not what I'm talking about. For a while, I believed that we should rename the town square after these native communities. But I actually spoke to members of the Nipmuc Nation, and I learned that naming practices and land acknowledgements can be tokenizing and also really performative if they are accompanied by action. Instead of renaming the square, we should mobilize people in Kipsbury to donate their old New England money in ways that will actually make Indigenous lives better. I propose we leave the town square nameless. Maybe doing so will communicate the one founding truth of this town, that it exists because of thievery and violence.
That's basically what I said. Well, it was very well put, and sort of the same gist as my objection.
Not really.
Well, it stands to reason, right? Everyone's gotten so used to the Zagiatory name. It's almost like if we kept it, the square would be nameless.
If everyone could maybe sit down and settle down.
That should win.
I have never heard you speak a word.
That should win. She is very deserving. She has served you all for years, and she does not get any recognition.
Dimitri, she doesn't even know we nominated her. Oh, Deb, we are so sorry. We just love you, and we want to recognize you for all your work. And we knew that you wouldn't watch any of the video submissions, so we thought that if we nominated you and you won, it would be this whole big surprise. Oh, God, we are so sorry. Well, if everyone is voicing their opinion, I think I should win. My husband does as well, Todd. He couldn't be here. A problem with his catheter. Trust me, you do not want me to elaborate. But I think I deserve to win. So Isaac over there, I taught Isaac and Natalie and David. Remember I helped you with that church choir solo, dear? You're naturally flat, but some habits just can't be broken. But I think I deserve to win. I've taught almost all of you, and I've done a great deal for this community. So.
Right, everyone is playing this Good Samaritan card, but I am his next of kin. Does that mean nothing?
I understand that you are feeling very strongly, Mr. Zagiatory, but as a town, we have made a decision.
Right, but why don't we just slow down, and ask ourselves, why are we doing this? I mean, why are you doing this?
Well, Brandy did not elaborate in the board meeting.
Oh, so you don't know? Oh, interesting.
Well, we're doing this, we are doing this. We're doing this because my husband was a monster. I am sorry, I cannot keep quiet anymore. I told myself I wasn't going to share this information, but it seems like we have come to a point where it is necessary. About a month ago, I was in Jim's office, looking through his desk. I wasn't snooping. I was looking for this one document where he wrote down all our passwords. I couldn't remember the HBO Max one, and I wanted to watch Young Sheldon. Well, I'm looking, and I come across this strange binder folder I'd never seen before. Inside, there are all these pictures of dogs, of pit bulls. Well, I know every dog in town, and I'd never seen these ones before, and so I was confused. Well, I looked closer, and I noticed that a lot of these dogs were chained up and had scarring on their faces and bodies. The binder was full of stats about the dogs' ages and weights, and there was one section labeled History. It was a catalog of their fighting history. Jim, along with a few trusted colleagues, had been operating a dog fighting ring for upwards of 5 years. Well, we went down to Virginia once every few months for what I thought was business, but he was mainly involved in the gambling, which doesn't make it any more excusable. He made hundreds and thousands from these fights, and he kept the place going. It was a hobby, a very lucrative hobby. A hobby that depended on the extreme abuse and neglect of over 50 dogs. He stayed in his office for hours, just poring over these documents. It was like Michael Vick all over again. You know Michael Vick? That NFL player who was running the dog fighting ring?
Oh, and you know the worst part? When all that stuff about Michael Vick came out, I was so upset, for days. And Jim was so kind to me. Now, he bought me flowers, which he probably did, 4 times over the course of our marriage. Anyways, I contacted a friend who works at the ASPCA, and she got it all sorted. They completely busted the guys that were still running it. Without Jim, it wasn't thriving in the way it once did, but it was still going. I made sure that those dogs went to good shelters, and some of them even got adopted. Thought about adopting one myself. It was this big gray pit bull, but it was emaciated, and, its ears were all mangled. I couldn't handle it. The bust of the fighting ring was in the papers, mostly in Virginia, but also some here. And I made sure that Jim wasn't associated with any of it. I had the funds to insure it. I don't know why I did it. It wasn't out of loyalty to him. I think I was embarrassed. And now I am just ashamed. I thought I could get through this whole process, keeping this horrible, terrible thing concealed, just shoving it under the rug, but I can't. Natalie is right. This town does exist because of violence, past and present. And I cannot look at his name anymore. Well, thank you for sharing, Brandy. I did not know that. Well, I thought you might like to. Right, well, we've got a lot to think about as a town. So, I'm still gonna proceed and announce the winner. So, the winning submission for the Town Square renaming contest is your authority as mother-in-law and soon-to-be grandmother. No, Barb, you are not crazy. Camo is a very strange theme for a baby shower. And I mean, if Ricky feels off about it, all the more reason to say something, huh? Yes, speak up, honey. Oh, not at all. I love hearing about you. I miss you. The street feels so empty without you. Okay, sure. What is new with me? Well, I never told you about the renaming contest results. Geez, it's been so long since I talked to you. Well, the whole town hall was a shit show. You picked the exact right time to jet off to Florida. Jack came and started spewing all this nonsense about his father's legacy and yada, yada, yada. And then everyone started speaking at once. And poor David, the town board guy, he was at a complete loss trying to control us all. Yes, well, after a while, it got to be too much, and I just came right out with it. Yes, I just word vomited. Yes, I told them all about it. Even that pit bull I almost adopted, you remember? Well, everyone was quiet after that, and then David read the results, and it turns out Deb won from the diner. Yes, gruff Deb. Sharon, that sort of skittish waitress? Yes, and the huge Russian cook. Well, they were both very excited. The Russian guy sort of jumping up and down, the floor is kind of shaking. Well, Deb was much more tempered. Well, it turns out Natalie Wallace had made a podcast. You know Natalie Wallace, Henry's daughter? Oh, she's very outspoken. She did this sort of climate change play exhibition thing a few years ago. It was very upsetting. Yes, her. Well, she made a podcast, and on it, she talks about who are we as white New Englanders to rename a piece of land that was stolen from Native people in the first place. A very good point, and one I honestly hadn't considered. She made a lot of video submissions for the contest. First she thought we should name it after these communities, and then she thought that was sort of tokenizing and changed her mind. But anyway, Anyways, well, apparently Deb had listened to the podcast. I think it was on the radio even. And she was compelled by Natalie's argument. So when they announced her as the winner, she didn't accept. Oh, Barb, you should have seen it. Oh, Rob, that old guy from the fish market, oh, he went into a complete tizzy, started talking about how this younger generation is changing everything and how everyone's just acting out of fear. Well, Deb very eloquently disagreed with him. She told him she wasn't afraid, she just agreed with Natalie. Yes. Well, that Russian guy and Sharon, they were so disappointed, but they came to a bit of a compromise, and now Deb has a bench in the square named after her. But the actual square is nameless. I know, the sign, that one that said James G. Zagiatori Memorial Town Square, the big wooden one with gold lettering, it's gone. Well, I get this, Bob. They removed his name from everything else. I know, the library, the skate rink, even that little plaque on the playground, there's no trace of him anymore. Good riddance. I mean, it feels good. It feels bigger than just me. Isaac! Oh, yes, Isaac! He is good. He's back up at school. Yes, he called me the other day with a question about resumes. I don't know, he was speaking so fast I couldn't understand him. I think he just wanted to chat and he felt like he needed an excuse. He told me he is auditioning for an a cappella group. Well, apparently they need basses, so, fingers crossed. I told him to let me know if he gets in, but I would be very surprised. The child does not strike me as a natural performer. Speaking of, Miss Kathleen is starting up her whole community theater thing again. I know. They are doing Godspell. God help us all. And Jack, who is unfortunately still here, is auditioning for Jesus. Well, he was supposed to leave in a few weeks, but I'm nervous if he gets the part, he's gonna stay. Oh, he had some problem with his visa. Barb, I didn't tell you this, so he's been living in my house. Yep, he's been staying with me and assisting in the salon. Well, he's a very fast typer, I'll give him that, he rivals me. But he's weirdly skittish around the dogs. I think he's kind of scared of them, it's entertaining. He has been slightly less insufferable since he learned about Jim's whole enterprise, but I would not say we are getting along. I am looking forward to his exit. But things are good. Things are really good. Listen, hon, I just had a customer come in, so I've got to run. Okay, but keep me updated on that whole camo baby shower thing. I am on the edge of my seat. Okay. Bye, honey. Peanut. Thank God.